when it comes to the vaccines, I know a lot of people were like, "Oh, they sped through this. They've made this like in a year. It's already getting pushed, emergency, pushing through with Pfizer and Moderna and stuff." And then I was like, "Yeah, that is kind of crazy. I'm going to wait till there's more studies." But haven't they been working on viruses like or vaccinations for viruses like this for decades?
Oh, of course. So we've been making viral vaccines since the 1940s, right? And we have a lot of them that we have licensed and are given to people, hundreds of millions of people. They're fine. They prevent serious disease. The polio vaccine, you don't get paralyzed anymore, right?
Nope. Right.
The flu vaccine is not as good. You can still get a little bit of influenza. People are working on that, but measles, mumps, rubella, hepatitis vaccine, um, all really good. They've eliminated the childhood infectious diseases that we all used to get when I was a kid. So yes, we've been working on vaccines for a long time. We know the technology. Now along comes a pandemic, and it's an emergency because this disease is severe, right? It kills 20% of people, especially if you're over a certain age. And then we find out it can have long-term effects, which last for who knows how long COVID, right?
Mhm.
And so the decision was made that we need to make a vaccine as quickly as we can. What's the downside? You want to spend 10 years. So most vaccines take 10 years before this, right? Really? You want to spend 10 years with lots of people dying? No, I don't think that's an option. We have the tech to do it quickly. So in the US, we decided to invest in a couple of different vaccines, mRNA vaccines, which had never been put in people before, and then adenovirus vectored vaccines, which had seen some use in people before. And the reason was they could be produced really quickly at high quantity. And then we designed a way to test them really fast. So typically you test a vaccine in 3 different waves of testing, phase 1, 2, and 3. And normally you do a phase 1 with say 20 or 30 healthy people, and you just give them a dose of the vaccine. You make sure everything is okay. And this has already been tested extensively in animals in the lab. So you pretty much have an idea that it's going to be fine. And then you wait typically 6 months, a year to analyze the data, collect the data, analyze it, and then you do your phase 2. Well, this was planned. We're going to finish the phase 1. If it looks good, we're going to start right away at phase 2. So they were fast tracked one after each other. And so we got a number of new vaccines in less than a year, which I have to say, I've never seen before in my career. It's amazing because I thought we wouldn't start vaccinating until now, pretty much now. That was my prediction it would take, and I was wrong. Good thing to be wrong on. The reason that it's not a problem, when you test the vaccine, normally you'd go for 2 years, right? At least before you give it a license. Mm-hmm. The reason you do that is only because you want to know how long the immunity lasts. All the side effects that you're likely to see happen within just a few months after giving the vaccine to people. And a lot of people I've talked to are worried about, long-term side effects. Well, we really don't see anything after a few months. And that's why I think it's okay to have these novel vaccines licensed or given an emergency use in less than a year, because I don't think there's going to be any long-term effects. We don't see that with other vaccines, and there's nothing in the makeup of these vaccines that would tell me that there would be. Now, I understand that people are worried. I get it totally. And, part of the problem is that you don't know where to turn for information. The whole vaccine issue is mired up in politics and people wanting their rights. I understand, but, public health, you sometimes have to make amends. You have to give up some freedoms to protect everybody. And, I the day I could, I got vaccinated. My wife and kids, we all got vaccinated because I have faith in them. And all I can tell people is, look, you can either talk to me like we're talking now, and I can tell you what I think and why I totally respect your fears. And here's why I don't think you should worry about it. But you know what? In the end, you should just be brave. If you're scared, be brave and help humanity and try it, because I don't think there's going to be any issue. I totally understand that you're worried, but history tells us that nothing long-term is going to happen with these vaccines. So, and these mRNA vaccines, by the way, had been worked on for 5 years before this. That's the only reason we could make them so quickly. So it's not like we just started on day one with something new and said, let's figure that out. No, this was worked out and ready, is tested in animals of various sorts with different viruses. So we were ready to go on this. And you have to appreciate how much of a miracle it was to test them and now to make so much, millions and millions of doses. It just blows my mind. It's incredible.